I'll never look at Shiny Eevee in the same way again. Ever. It started only a few days ago. I was on the internet looking for action replay codes. I really wanted one for either a shiny Vulpix or a shiny Eevee. Then, I found one for that shiny Eevee that I wanted so much. The code was long, but I was willing to take the time to put it in. It took about 15 minutes to put the code in, but I was so excited to get the code into action. I started up my Soul Silver game with the code on. I clicked continue when my previous save data came up. I was saved right in front of the Pokemon Center. I rushed into the place with my Typhlosion following behind me, and I went to the PC and pressed A. Klaus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon storage system activated. I pressed the L and R buttons down and moved to box 5 where a shiny Eevee was supposed to come up. I moved the cursor over the Eevee. It was named EE and it was level 1. Its moves were Tackle, Growl, Sand Attack and Swift. I took out my level 1 Giratina from my party and put it into the first box of the PC. After that, I put EE into my party. I wanted to trade it onto my Heart Gold's version since it was the one that I always play. I got my other DS and popped Heart Gold into it. I turned it on and clicked continue. Once both of my players were in the Union Room, I started the trade. I traded a Cubone onto my Soul Silver in return for EE. Once the Pokemon were traded onto the separate versions, I made both players leave the Union Room and saved one at a time. Once turning off the system Soul Silver was in, I went to playing Heart Gold. I wanted to clone EE so I could get the rest of the evolutions. I wonder if I have a Thunderstone? I wondered to myself as I opened my character's bag. The only evolution stone I had was a Water Stone. A Vaporeon will do for now, I guess. I clicked A on the Water Stone and clicked on EE. I watched as the Eevee evolved into a pink Vaporeon. Once the evolution process was done, I saved the game and turned it off, as it was time for me to go to bed. Several days passed. I had gotten all the shiny evolutions except for Flareon, but that didn't matter to me. I'd get it later. I wanted to get EE back onto my Soul Silver. I got my DS and popped in my Action Replay DSi along with Soul Silver. Once the code list loaded, I clicked on the shiny Eevee code and started up the game. I clicked continue as soon as the options came up. I was saved in the Pokemon Center this time, so I ran over to the PC. Klaus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon storage system activated. I was already in box 5. I moved to box 6 and held down the R and L buttons. I moved back to box 5. Instead of an Eevee icon in the box, there was an egg icon. I moved my cursor onto it. It was a bad egg. I moved the egg to the other side of the box and tried it again. Another bad egg, followed by another. I moved the eggs to the bottom and tried for a 4th time. This time, EE appeared in the box. I moved EE back into my party. I wanted to train him. I disregarded the fact that I had 3 bad eggs in my PC box and logged off the PC. I ran out of the Pokemon Center and started to train EE. I had the max XP code on, so this would be pretty easy. After flying to Goldenrod City on my Ho-Oh, I ran out of the city knowing that I had sneaked past some of the trainers. Once a trainer had spotted me, I'd send out EE. The opposing trainer sent out a level 10 Diglett. I returned EE and sent out my trusty Typhlosion. After the foe's Diglett attacked, I selected Typhlosion's command. This wouldn't be hard at all for him, since he was level 100. I selected Slash. Typhlosion used Slash. Foe Diglett fainted. I held down the R button so EE would gain the max experience points. EE grew to level 2. EE grew to level 3. This went on until EE grew to level 37. Trainer is about to send out Zubat. Will Klaus change Pokemon? I selected yes and sent out EE. Go EE. Trainer sent out Zubat. I selected the fight command, then chose Swift. EE used Swift. Foe Zubat died. Their Zubat died? I questioned. I shook my head and ignored it, although through my confusion I had forgotten to hold down the R button to gain the max XP for my Eevee. Trainer is about to send out Diglett. Will Klaus switch Pokemon? I selected no this time. Trainer sent out Diglett. What will EE do? I selected the fight option and then chose Swift again. EE used Swift. Foe's Diglett died. Again, the Pokemon had died. Even though this still confused me, I remembered to hold down the R button this time. EE grew to level 38. EE grew to level 39. This continued until EE reached level 52. The opposing trainer didn't do anything after I beat him. Before the screen went back to the overworld, I got the evolution screen and EE was on there. What? EE is evolving. The animation started showing it was trying to evolve into Espeon. I clicked the B button since I already had a shiny Espeon. What? EE stopped evolving. I noticed that EE seemed to be angry. I ignore it and go on training it. After about 5 minutes or so, EE was trying to evolve into Espeon again. I pressed the B button again and EE seemed even angrier at me. I was once again in the overworld. Before I could do anything, my trainer faced EE and an angry icon appeared over the shiny Eevee's head. EE wants to evolve into Espeon. Yes or no options came up. Being that I didn't want it to evolve into Espeon, I clicked no. The angry icon appeared over EE's head again and a small sprite jumped up and down as if it were throwing a tantrum. EE wants to evolve. Another yes or no option came up. I clicked no again. EE didn't do anything this time. I opened my party and noticed all my Pokemon were now bad eggs, except for EE. I clicked on EE, then on summary. EE's sprite had an evil looking smirk on its face and red eyes. I was starting to get tired of it. I went to a Pokemon Center and went to the PC. Klaus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon storage system activated. I selected EE and then clicked on release. EE won't leave without a fight. Suddenly, I'm dragged into a random encounter. EE wants to fight. Go Typhlosion. There were two things that I noticed here. The first thing was that I suddenly had my Typhlosion back. The second thing was that both EE's and Typhlosion sprites were bloody. EE still had that grin on its face, and there was now blood on its eyes and ears. Typhlosion's sprite looked very much like it was in pain. Blood was dripping from its mouth and nose, flesh was exposed on its forehead, and the flames on its neck looked weak. What will Typhlosion do? I clicked the fight command, then chose Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. What? I whispered to myself. I didn't know Pokemon would get too scared to attack. EE used Bite. The attack dealt much damage to my Typhlosion, but it wasn't down yet. There was more blood on it now than before. What will Typhlosion do? Fight Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. I sighed. Again, I whispered. EE used Kill. Typhlosion has died. No! I yelled. I was glad my dad wasn't home when I had said that. Klaus is out of usable Pokemon. Klaus fell victim to EE. I was once again confused. What did it mean by fell victim? I was back in the overworld, but I was in what seemed to be Ilex Forest instead of the Pokemon Center. The forest was a dark red instead of its normal green. Bones and rotting flesh were strewn across the area. The little pond was blood red too. At this point, I was starting to feel sick to my stomach. Then I noticed something. EE was right in front of my trainer. EE's sprite jumped up and down. EE wants you to suffer. I was getting too scared to go on with this. I moved my thumb towards the power button. Don't even try it. You're not getting away from me. A voice was coming through the speaker of my DS. I assumed the voice belonged to EE. The screen turned to black and the only sound I could hear is what sounded like slashing. When the overworld came back, I saw my trainer laying on the ground in a pool of blood. He had an arm and leg missing and his eyes were pitch black. I presumed that his eyes were ripped out. EE's sprite jumped up and down again and a happy icon appeared over EE's head. I tried turning the game off again and to my surprise, it worked this time. I sat on my couch speechless and breathed hard for a moment before turning it back on. I clicked on Soul Silver once I was on the DSi menu. After the title screen came up, I was immediately taken to a wild encounter. My trainer's sprite was missing his eye and an arm. I swallowed hard. This greatly disturbed me. Then the opposing Pokemon appeared. EE attacked. I noticed that EE had shiny Espeon ears, tail and a jewel. Blood was dripping from the ears, tail and jewel. Its eyes were red and also had blood dripping from them. Its cry was like a demonic version of Espeon's cry. The only option was ball. I click on it. Klaus used one Pokeball. EE goes into the ball, it shakes once and again, then EE breaks out. EE doesn't want to go back. EE used kill. Oh no, I said quietly to myself. There was a flash of crimson red before a text box came up. EE has killed Klaus. The screen went back to the overworld. My trainer's sprite wasn't there. EE's sprite was now grinning widely. You should have let me evolve. EE's voice echoed through the speakers of my DSi. The game turned itself off as Eevee finished talking. I was too terrified to turn it back on. I threw my DS at the wall and surprisingly only my Soul Silver game pops out of it. I picked up the game cartridge and threw it in the trash can in the corner of my room. I sat there on my couch wondering what had just happened. I turned on my TV and the screen was black. I figured I had just left it on the channel I used to play on my Wii. I turned through the channels before leaving it on 29. The screen remained black. I sighed and reached to press the power button, but before I could, an eerie voice comes through the speakers. You should have let me evolve. You would think that this was the end, but no. It was just getting started. The TV then went to static. I picked up the TV remote and pressed the power button. Nothing happened. I tried pressing it again. Still continued to not respond. I repeatedly pressed the button until I started to see E's face on the screen in front of the static appear with that evil toothy grin. You should have let me evolve. I then noticed E was attempting to escape out the TV. To my great surprise, he succeeded. He stood on the floor in front of me and glared at me with his bloody eyes. Now you will suffer the same fate as Klaus. Hey guys, and thank you so much for listening to my latest in my CreepyPasta series. This was an exciting one as I had a good friend, Rizu, on board who was doing all the artwork in the background, so I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I know this was delayed a little bit due to technical difficulties. I can't even say that word. Technical difficulties. There we go. On both sides. It was still a really fun project to work on, and hopefully I'll be working with Rizu in the future on different things like this. So thank you once again. Any comments, suggestions for new stories or feedback is greatly appreciated. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page, which will be in the description down below. I'll leave a link also to Rizu down below if you want to get in touch with her to do any artwork, etc. A final thank you from me again. I know you're sick of hearing me say thank you now, but thank you, and take care.